You know, doing Southern Gospel News Podcast has been a blessing and a fun time. I learn something every week when I'm on here, and it's a great thing. Southern Gospel News Podcast has been a blessing to thousands, and without our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to continue to do it every week. MyPillow is one of those sponsors. Mike Lindell and the guys sent me a MyPillow about 4 weeks ago, and they said, before you talk about it, I want you to try it out. They said, you got a money-back guarantee, 100% satisfaction, no problems. You don't like the pillow there, and send it back to us. They're even going to ask you when you call MyPillow your t-shirt size. No, they're not going to send you a MyPillow t-shirt, but it helps them in determining what type of pillow you need. They asked me when I got one, did you use a feather pillow or a down pillow? So they want to know what the best is for you. Right now, they've got a great deal on their Premier Pillow, and you can only get it by calling MyPillow today, 1-800-338-2330. 1-800-338-2330. When you're talking to them, enter the code or tell them the code SGNP. SGNP. Or you can always go to the website, mypillow.com, order anything on there, but always use that code SGNP. MyPillow took care of me. They're taking care of you. And thank them for supporting Southern Gospel News Podcast.
Welcome to one of the most listened to music news podcasts in the world, SGNP, with your host, Darien Southerland. Join us as we talk with industry leaders, artists, and entertainers about their faith, family, and careers. This is information you will not find anywhere else on radio, web, or in a magazine, but only firsthand on SGNP.
And welcome to a special edition of SGNP, Darien Southerland. We're on our first road trip, so to speak, and we're here at the Showstreet Theatre in Dollywood, the home of the Kingdom Heirs, and my co-host, Arthur Rice. And Arthur, we're with your family today, so I'm going to let you introduce all the guys to everybody that's listening all across the world.
Absolutely. Welcome, everybody. Glad you're here. Glad you're here, Darren. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
No problem. Easy drive.
Charlie and Jonathan coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming up. Dennis Murphy, been here 28 years, a drummer and songwriter. Been here a long time.
Hello, everybody.
Of course, you got Andy Stringfield, our piano player, been here 11 years and does a great job. Jeff Chapman, everybody knows Jeff.
How you doing?
Jeff's been here 16 years.
That's right.
And a long time. We've got Lauren Harris. Everybody knows Lauren. Been here, he's fixing to be here 2 years.
Right.
And glad to have him. And then, of course, Jerry Martin over there, singing tenor, been here 9 years and 9 years, is that right?
Yep.
And and then we got Chris French, manager, bass player extraordinaire, and the boss man. He's yes. You know it. He's been here 37 years, is that right? 38 years. 38 years. Wow, long time. So that's it.
Before we start, I've got to ask y'all this question because all the ladies that watch this are going to want to know this question right here. Yesterday, in the pictures I seen that somebody took of the Kingdom Heirs, you had polka dots on. Was that correct? Today, you've got orange shirts on. Who decides what the Kingdom Heirs wear every day on stage? Because I know that's what the ladies want to know.
Well, the one that
We can leave that up to Jerry.
Jerry.
I just take it at random.
We have a rotation.
Yeah. Chris brings in, especially at the beginning of the season and throughout the season, Chris will bring in shirts and say, hey, boys, y'all like these?
Yeah.
Y'all like these? And most of the time, we like them, 95% of the time, and we all agree. And
Tell the truth. Do you like him because he's the boss, or do you like him because you really like him?
because he's the boss.
we really like them. We do. We really like
I
it.
can tell you how hard it is to try to find clothes from a 2X tall to a 2 toddler.
The choices are limited. The size range.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
You go from a medium to a 2X.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find clothes.
Yeah.
Find seven.
7 of something,
Yeah.
especially.
How often do you get out of Dollywood now? I know you used to travel a pretty good amount back in the day. Do you leave Dollywood and go to a lot of performances outside the park?
No.
We really don't. About the wintertime, I mean, we do NQC, of course, and about the only other thing we do outside of that is we do Praise Fest, which is Greater Vision's homecoming kind of thing.
And Quartet
spring
Convention.
break, and that's about it, about 3 days, about all, only thing we do out of the park. And then in the wintertime, we travel about, 7 weeks now?
Yeah, we do about 30, 35 dates in a 7-week period.
All across the country, or we're primarily?
Michigan down into Florida. And made it out to Texas some, but rarely.
In the summertime, it's just too hard to get out.
Yeah. Plus, we're doing
Grab
5
the
days
sound
here.
man, take him out and work 5 days here. And
Our equipment's in storage, and it's just a whole.
Lease a bus.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different world. And most of you came from that world, correct, where you traveled. Anybody not come from that world and just been doing this? So you just been on. You're the spoiled guy then, right?
Well, of course, when y'all started, when you first you traveled half the year, most of the time.
Yes.
Yeah. So
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, like traveled full time, and then when Kingdom Heirs first started, when Chris first started with the Kingdom Heirs at Dollywood was only open Chris, May through October,
Yeah.
and then you traveled the rest of the time.
Yeah,
and my first
we was
year,
here 6 months and on the road 6 months.
my first 2 years when I came, that's the way it was. We traveled 6 months and was here 6 months.
Chris, how did y'all end up at Dollywood? What's the story behind that?
We used to sing here on the weekends just as a local group that had special events and Young Christians Day and just some different events here at when it was Silver Dollar City at that time. And we would just sing on the weekends here, and all of us had jobs. And then when Dolly come into it, she wanted a full-time gospel group, so we was right there at the right time.
Perfect place at perfect time. Good Lord shined up. I know Arthur's background. He tells me about his dad doing the car business and radiator business, correct? What's some of the other guys' backgrounds? What have y'all done in life other than have a great job here at the Kingdom Heirs and singing 3 times a day, 5 days a week? What have some of the rest of you done?
Construction, men's retail, grocery store management, stuff like that.
Whatever it took to pay the bill.
Yeah, that's right.
I worked at a sawmill with my dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Where was
a
that?
piano player.
A piano player working at a sawmill. That was in Kingston, Tennessee. Yeah.
Anybody else, Jerry?
Yeah, I worked at a nuclear power plant. I was a heavy machine operator. Wow. And I did that before. I had to make a choice because I was on the road with a group at that time called Lumber River Quartet.
Yeah.
And that's how I actually met Kingdom Heirs. Is we came up for 2 weeks and did the night shows here. And the Kingdom Heirs were at the Valley Theater.
Yeah.
And so they would do the morning. And so I just fell in love with the place, fell in love with these guys. So, but I'd get home about 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I had to get ready to go to work. And it's an hour and a half away from Southport. So I would drive there, and I just had to make the decision. I'm either going to do this full time, or I'm going to just stay up in the nuclear.
I'm going to put Lauren on the spot, and I'm going to let y'all play with him because he's been here the least amount of time, 2 years. There's 7 of you, okay? You work together every single day. I work with Charlie and Jonathan and Tim and Sydney at my office and Sandy. And when anytime I find a company or a group that there's less than 10, you've got to be a family. You really, truly do. Or you've at least got to like each other and cooperate with each other. Well, you guys are a singing group, okay? You're on stage all the time. So it's double trouble. It's not like just, okay, this guy's going to, work a welding machine over here. He's got to fit in with the group. How did y'all go about finding Lauren and putting a piece of the puzzle together? How does the Kingdom Heirs go about doing this? Because I imagine a lot of people that sing gospel music want your jobs, quite frankly, because you're home every night with your family most of the time. You're not traveling Wednesday through Sunday like a lot of other groups are. And you're not having to set up equipment all the time. I'm sure you've got some responsibilities here, but it's not like you having to carry speakers down an aisle of a church and up 2 flights of stairs and then worry about a product table. How do you go about finding a new member when it's time to look for a new member? Chris?
Well, usually you know somebody that's been in the industry. I mean, we're all pretty close knit industry. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
And then word gets out, and then, like for Lauren's job, how many auditions did we have?
52.
52 auditions. And so he's the best.
Is it important that boy, the boss said you were the best? You need to remember that, Lauren. The boss said you're the best. You need to remember that. Is it important to come from the gospel music industry, or do you just need to be a good singer and have that heart for Jesus? What do you think the biggest thing is? Both.
It helps. You just having that background.
Yeah,
of course.
Well, at some point, we all was never in the industry.
Right.
So there's people coming along. I mean, it's great to have a heart for Jesus and be, hopefully a Christian. But even that, I've been in groups. Well, I ain't been in many groups, but I'm talking about even local groups to where you get so and so down the road in a small town. Well, he don't go to church. Well, you know what? He comes in the group, and we're talking about not getting paid. You just do it because it's fun.
Right.
This guy plays bass. He wants to play with us. Well, he don't go to church. But next thing you know, he's going to church.
Right.
Becomes a Christian. Gets saved during one of our concerts. So you can't always discount somebody who didn't grow up in church or doesn't have that background, because we're supposed to reach those people.
I know Arthur's background, so I'm not going to put him on the spot here. Anybody sing any other type of music other than gospel music when you got started? Playing any other kind of groups? Do anything? I always pick on the musicians first because they always know, it's like my buddy at the Primitive. He can play better, Leonard Skinner on the guitar than anybody I've ever heard, okay? I won't name his name, but y'all know who he is. Anybody play any secular music, anything like that before you got started?
I did in college, yeah. Yeah, I played in a funk band called the Funk Explosion. Yeah. Played some funk and some country, and in high school played in some bands, rock and roll, stuff like that.
Yeah. Been looking back, high school, stage bands and guys that get together and enter talent contests, stuff like that. Nothing I ever got paid to do.
Mama never would let me. She said I'd always lead the dancing.
See, my dad's a preacher.
Yeah.
There
Coming
was
from
no
those two
such
brothers.
thing as any other kind of music than Southern gospel.
So
And I've never heard a rock band with a bass singer anyway. So.
JD sang a little bass rock with Elvis from time to time. Did he not? So
But Elvis is dead, so there you go.
It's like my granny used to say. My granny used to say, God didn't put praying knees and dancing feet on the same legs. Who are some of y'all's influences in the business?
I'd have to say, I loved the old quartet stuff, and Big Chief was the most amazing guy on stage I've ever seen. I mean, it's just amazing just to watch him, the way he performed. And matter of fact, Elvis was a huge fan of Big Chief,
No doubt.
And then JD and George and Tim Riley, especially. Tim spent a lot of time with me, taught me so much, and those were my big influences.
Jeff, Arthur and I was talking about this yesterday, and I'll ask you this because you're a bass singer and one of the best in the industry. Bass singers formerly were almost like characters. They were bigger than life individuals. Do you think we've lost some of that in gospel music? I mean, when you think about it, you think of the characters we had, even from the quiet types like Rex Nealon, over to JD, to George, to the Big Chief, to Jim Waits. Have we lost some of that with bass singers, do you think, today?
Guys used to have names, I mean, like the Big Chief, JD, and then you had George Yonts, which became, as well as one of the best singers I'd ever heard. I mean, great soloist, could sing anything. Started out as a lead singer, by the way, and became one of the best MCs that anybody ever heard of. Put you right there in the palm of his hand. Amazing. And then you had Tim Riley, just known for his low notes, and then you had Mike Holcomb, 6'4", 94. Yeah. That was his nickname. I mean, but you don't hear very many people don't have names anymore. It's just a name, you know.
Right.
There's no.
Nobody knew Big Chief's name.
Oh, really? Yeah, you got a name or two for me, though.
It's like our historian Charlie said yesterday. Nobody knew Big Chief's name was James. People didn't realize that. You know, back in the day when I was in radio, I became friends because I was in Atlanta with Hovey, and always told Hovey he was bigger than life. And I said, Hovey said, why do you think I'm bigger than life? I said, because it's like when we mention the name Babe, everybody thinks Ruth. If you mention in secular music Cher, everybody knows who it is. Well, if you mention Hovey, everybody in here knows who he is. Who's some of y'all's influences? Anybody else? Don't everybody talk at one time.
As far as gospel music goes, Anthony Berger
Yeah.
is my big influence. I mean, he was just, I call him the master. You know, he was such a showman, and just watching him on stage, that made me want to do that. You know, do that for a living.
I'm a drummer, and look, there are not many drummers, but my influence would have to be, you look at bands, what used to be the Hensons, the Kingsmen, Gold City. I admired bands as a whole, and groups with bands, because it brought a whole different energy to the stage. So, you know, I mean, I miss Doug Riley, you know, played drums with Gold City. People like that. I grew up. Doug coming into the industry about 2 months before I did. So, there's certain people who I respect and admire, but my influence as far as playing drums and just being part of a band or groups like the Hensons, like I said.
You mentioned, we'll close out with this question right here. You mentioned some of your secular influences. Anybody got any? I know Jeff said his daddy was a preacher, so he couldn't listen to country music, WSM on the radio late at night, and hear Hank Williams Sr. sing I Saw the Light before he got kicked out of the Grand Ole Opry. He didn't listen to none of that, I promise you. He didn't know what Uncloudy Day was either, I promise you that, because his daddy was a preacher. Anybody got any influences they remember? Any?
Yeah, mine's Steve Perry from The Journey.
No doubt.
I'm more of the 80s type hair band. You know,
I will tell you this, Jerry. Half of my friends on Facebook, if the Lord would have come back last Saturday night, would have been at SunTrust Field in Atlanta for Journey and Def Leppard's concert. I just want you to know that. So it's okay. They would have made it to heaven, at least 25% of them. And the other 25, we don't know. Anybody else?
You want a little inside info for getting real? How long ago, Jerry? 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I
That's
think
where
so.
me and Jerry were sitting in the Thompson Bowl and watching Def Leppard and Journey.
Fun.
Mine's Elvis.
Oh, he's
Huge Elvis fan.
Could we use an Elvis this day and time that could cross over from rock to gospel to country? Could the industry stand somebody like that?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
There's nobody like that.
Yeah.
There's not one person or star that stands out.
The thing is,
that caliber.
Elvis came from gospel music.
Yeah.
He came from Southern gospel music.
Yeah.
His biggest thing in the world was listening to the Blackwoods and the Statesmen. You know, and that's how that happened. Now, nowadays, your pop, rock, country singers don't really come from that. They don't know what it is.
I'll tell you something else, Darren. It's harder now in the present time for people to do things like Elvis was doing, because I'm going to tell you what's changed the world. Social media. Everybody has an opinion, and they don't care to crush you from sitting here in a chair on their iPhone. They don't care to. Why is he doing that? They shouldn't do that.
There's somebody picking on Arthur right now because he's not sitting up straight while they're filming this. You're sitting up straight. I'm just kidding. But somebody's always finding something.
Everybody's a judge. Everybody has an opinion, and everybody can make it known.
That's right.
And they're not always good. And if you want, I don't have Facebook, or I choose not to have a lot of social media where people really get to express opinions. People say, "Did you read what so-and-so?" Hey, look, if you read the good stuff, you got to. If you buy into what good people say about you, you got to read the bad stuff. And if you don't want to hear it, I just choose not.
I'll close it out with this right here, and we'll come back in just a little bit because I know y'all got to get on stage and that sort of thing. Talking about social media, gospel music, this sort of thing. Good or bad, y'all tell me. Carrie Underwood sings softly and tenderly on the Country Music Association's awards. Y'all may have seen it. Anybody seen it?
Great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's right.
22 million downloads.
That's right.
Would you love to see her sing a gospel song somewhere at a gospel concert somewhere? Would you-
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, thanks. We'll come back in just a little bit.
All right.
You're listening to SGNP, Darien Southerland.
Come see what all the smoke is about at Tony Gore's Barbecue and Grill in the heart of the Smokies, Sevierville, Tennessee. Start off with T's loaded tater chips, some great sweet tea, then have some of his famous fried chicken, a pulled or sliced pork plate, or the best barbecue ribs in the Smokies. And oh, did we mention homemade mac and cheese? And dessert lovers, it's worth the trip just for a piece of cake. Voted the best barbecue in the Smokies, Tony Gore's Barbecue and Grill in Sevierville, Tennessee. And remember, gospel music fans, you never know who you'll see while at Tony Gore's Barbecue and Grill. For more information, visit them 24/7 at tonygore.com.
And welcome back to SGNP Southern Gospel News Podcast. The guys just got through the great set. Great set, guys. Good. Truthfully, this is us and the walls talking here. You do the same 3 shows every day, or is it different?
No, it's 3 different shows.
3 different shows. Ever get old? I mean, honestly, you ever just want to look over at Arthur and say, change it up a little bit, old man? You ever think about that, or just?
He will.
Yeah.
I try to change it up.
You try to
I like
change
it when he changes it up.
I do too. Keeps your mind going. You don't lull into a routine.
Right.
I like the excitement of changing.
You not only perform, but let's just be real with it. You minister to a lot of people that have never heard this format of music in their life. Maybe they're from parts of the country that doesn't get this music regular. Maybe they haven't been exposed. Can you remember, and then you meet with your fans or the patrons here after the concert. Can anybody remember a story that just sticks out in your mind, ministry-wise, that says, this is why ministry-wise I'm doing what I'm doing? Can you remember a person, a lady, a man that you've ever talked to in all your time being here that just, if you reflected back on the Kingdom Heirs, that moment and that time comes back to mind? Anybody?
There's a lot of.
Yeah. I actually had a lady, this was last winter, she actually came and seen us on the road. We were down in South Carolina. She came to concert, and she said it really, really meant a lot, because she came up, she said, I've seen you guys. I come to Dollywood. I've seen you guys numerous times, and I'd never met her before. I'd never even talked to her before. She said, I've seen you guys numerous times at the park. She said, I've seen you outside the park at concerts. She said, I've never come up and said anything. She said, but I noticed listening to your songs and what you sing, what you say, that the underlying message of what you do and what you say is that Jesus is enough. And that right there made my life, because that's the message that we want to portray to folks, that Jesus is enough. He's enough for anything you got, any problem you got, anything that's in your life. Jesus is enough. And that right there just made I can say, well, we were successful in portraying that message, and that to me is incredible.
Nice. Anybody else?
Just stories, and some of them are major. Listen, I want you to know, you guys helped me through. I come up here to Dollywood. I've been doing chemo, and we've got regulars right now. When we say regulars, we're talking our weekend warriors. Yeah. They live within an hour, and they're here every weekend, especially on Sunday. Wow. And we've got some of them right now dealing with a lot of things, going through chemo, and they tell us, you're helping me get through this. And we have prayer every day when we walk out on the stage before our first show, and it's always, no matter who prays, it's always, Lord, just let us reach at least one person that we can make a difference in their life. They'll leave to the theater feeling better about life than they did when they come in.
That's sweet. That's sweet. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Now, I got to ask you a funny thing, because we've all been in church and saw funny things happen before. Okay? We've all been in QC back in the day when it was in Nashville, And Granny sat on the front row, Arthur, and you know who I'm talking about, one of the ladies, and she would get up and wave her hand. You ever had a situation in here where something like that happened? Somebody has a spell, so to speak, which we've all been around. And the 80% of the folks that's never seen Southern Gospel are kind of looking at it, like, what's going on?
We'll have some shouters every now and then.
Yeah.
That's from that show.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't recall anybody running the aisles or jumping the pews.
Nobody's crawled the pews yet.
No.
Probably close.
Well, we had last week we had C.T. Townsend in Gatlinburg for a youth conference there.
Yeah.
And every
They had 2,000
Baptist preacher was in the audience.
Yeah, there were 2,000 kids on park, and
it was wild there for a little bit.
That's
Nobody
fun.
ran the aisles enough.
Is that fun for you guys?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Yeah, feels good.
You
Makes
feel
your
it
heart
all
feel
up and down your neck, all in your heart.
And like you said, somebody steps back because we are a secular theme park. And
Right.
the sweet thing about, and we've always said it, every guy down to it, a man has always said that we have a unique situation. We get to sing all these gospel groups. You know who's coming to the gospel concerts? People in church.
Right.
Yeah, I guarantee you there's some people that show right there that something jumped on them. Wasn't sure what it was because a lot of them lost.
Yeah. They come in here because it's cool, it's air conditioned.
They're just still trying to figure out what they experienced.
If you can plant the seed, you've done your job. That's kind of the way we look at it. You know, when we talk about our 4 pillars of why we do what we do on this show: edify, inspire, encourage, and entertain. You know, if we can plant that seed with somebody out there, that's a great thing, and that's what the gospel's all about to begin with. And we can talk and have fun, like, you know, y'all were talking earlier about going to the Journey and Def Leppard concert, and, you know, you're all wearing orange, so I must think half of you root for Tennessee, or if you don't, you better. You don't. Praise the Lord, Jeff. Georgia? There you go. I would get up and shake your hand, but it'd mess the camera up. But anyway, it's a good thing to be a Bulldog. But guys, again, thank you for letting us come into y'all's home, being a part of your life today, watching your show, letting the world know a little bit more about the Kingdom Heirs and the great things y'all are doing here at Dollywood, not only for Dollywood in an entertainment sense, but a ministry sense and in a personal sense. Because one thing I've always admired about you guys is everybody that's ever came here, they said, you know, I got to meet the guys afterwards. And when we've interviewed folks like Maurice Templeton or some other folks that's been big in the industry, they always said, I'll ask them, I said, what's missing in gospel music today? And I never will forget this. Maurice said to us, he said, if you ever notice George and Glenn talking about the cathedrals, he said Glenn was always the first one to the table and the last one to leave. And maybe y'all saw it different, I don't know. But the fact that y'all are out there meeting the folks means a lot, and these folks will never forget it. Thank you, guys. Anything for us before we get out of here? No problem. Appreciate it, guys. I got one more question for you, and we always say this at the end of every show, or we try to. And Arthur, what's wrong with living right anyway?
Not a thing.
Not one thing, is it? You got one thing. Thank you guys for listening to SGNP. It's the Kingdom Heirs. Come on out and see them at Dollywood the next time you're in Pigeon Forge. Buy their product, go to their website, do whatever you can. Go on social media and make Jerry's life fun. All righty? Talk to you soon.
SGNP is excited you chose to listen today. If you'd kindly leave a remark and rating in the podcast remarks section, we surely would appreciate it. Please share with a friend or family member. Look for us on Facebook, Twitter, and our new website, southerngospelnewspodcast.com. And remember the Kia Summer Nights concert series, all 100% free, coming to a town near you. For more information on the concert series or to advertise your products, services, concert event, or new project on SGNP and reach a 100% guaranteed number of people in your area, call Tim Newton at 770-874-3200 or email him today, tnewton@bgadgroup.com. Let us geo-target our ads for you, something radio nor magazine can do.